Warning, there may be spoilers ahead. Hi, I'm Doug with the Geeking Report, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Stranger Things. I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, Doug, we've heard all about Stranger Things. It's just a Spielberg homage or ripoff, depending upon your point of view. But I think if you look at it, if you really look at it, there's a little something more going on here. And I get it. Yeah, it has all the Spielberg veneer. It's got the kids on the bicycles. It's got the divorced mother. It's got the suburban neighborhood. It even has the kids playing D&D. It's all there, sure. But that's the surface. If you look at it a little more closely, there's a lot of things going on here that are not very Spielberg. Characters who seem to be going a little bit crazy. We are concerned about their sanity. You've got a policeman who is maybe slightly disreputable. And you've got a little girl as the subject of a scientific experiment where she's, let's face it, being abused. Those are not very Spielberg themes. They really remind me of somebody else who made some really good movies in the 80s, and that would be John Carpenter. The show really seems to have a sense of paranoia and persecution that just pervades a lot of John Carpenter's work. I'm thinking of They Live and Prince of Darkness, and particularly The Thing. And it just, it really pervades all of Stranger Things, in spite of the fact that you have kids on bicycles and sleepy little suburban neighborhoods and that sort of thing. The sense of paranoia and persecution particularly comes into play with Winona Ryder's character. There are all these things that only she seems to be able to see, and nobody believes her. And of course, she has a monster in her house, so that's very John Carpenter. And then there's that music. Every time the music comes in, it's just screaming to me, we've seen The Thing 500,000 times. We watched Halloween until we were blue in the face. And that score just drives home the feeling of a John Carpenter production. Want another clue to the influence of John Carpenter on the film? Just take a look at the scene where the kids are playing D&D. There's a poster in the background, The Thing. There were some things that bugged me in the show. Right off the bat, in the very first episode, the kids are getting on their bicycles, getting ready to go home. They turn on the light, and there's this popping electrical sound. I thought, holy crap, that's some over-the-top sound design. I realized later that they were using that effect for the lights when they go on and off supernaturally, but it didn't need to happen for the bicycles. There are a few inaccuracies in the show. It takes place in 1983. But they used the Bangles song Hazy Shade of Winter, which would not come out for another 2 years. Of course, these are just nitpicks. They don't really affect the overall enjoyment of the show. In fact, you probably have to be alive in the 80s to notice the difference, which I was. Of course, there are some other inspirations for the show. All you have to do is look at the title sequence to realize that Stephen King was a major influence. There are a lot of themes that are particular to Stephen King. And some things reminded me pretty clearly of Salem's Lot. The important thing, though, is that they've managed to take all of these influences, Steven Spielberg, John Carpenter, Stephen King, and they've brought them into the show, but they've made them their own, and they've created something uniquely theirs. And that's something that a lot of these retro projects that are influenced by 80s films just really haven't managed to do, and this is the first one that I think that's done that successfully. Now, let me say, I really liked Stranger Things. I thought it was well produced, it's beautifully photographed, some terrific acting, especially from the very young cast, particularly Miley Bobby Brown, who plays 11 in the film. That's her name, not her age. She has almost no dialogue in the show at all, but she manages to convey some pretty complex emotions just with her expressions and with her body language and the way she relates to the other characters. She's a really terrific young actor, and I think she's got a really big future ahead of her. And it's really nice to see Winona Ryder in a good role again. She really is the anchor of the show. It's always nice when they come back to her and you see her going crazy a little bit. She's really good at that. I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with this in a second season. I understand it's been renewed. So that will be very interesting to see what direction they go to grab the threads that they've left hanging at the end of the first season. Definitely check out Stranger Things. It's a really good show. I happen to have watched it myself in about 2 nights, and it's definitely worth your time.